Most leaders are asking the wrong question. What are the workplace trends this year? It's the second week of 2026, and already our inboxes are flooded with workplace trend reports. The better question to ask is what culture risks are quietly forming inside my business? 2026 won't break culture with one big disruption, but it will expose the leadership systems that are already weak. Hi, I'm Sharon, the Culture Catalyst, and welcome to Culture Shift in Action, the series where I help business leaders like you spot the gaps, make the shifts, and build a thriving culture inside your business within less than 10 minutes. In this episode, I'm going to highlight some of the trends that I think are worth paying attention to. And I'm also going to give you some tools and tactics to help you combat these and manage the risk of those trends happening inside your business. The first trend is the silence problem. People have stopped speaking up, not because they don't care anymore, but because experience has taught them it's safer not to do so. Silence looks like calm, everything feels okay, and some leaders mistake this for alignment or agreement. But let me tell you this, silence is withdrawal. If you want to make sure people speak up in your business, you could use a tool called a Speak Up Signal Check-in. This involves asking some simple questions. Where do people debate things inside my business? Where have the debates disappeared? Who is challenging when we need to make decisions? Who stopped challenging? Where is everything's okay, all good, assumed? And where do you actually feel it's really healthy and people are thriving? The answers to these questions will help you surface whether people feel safe to speak up in your business or whether they're quietly withdrawing. And if that's the case, you need to do something about it. The second trend is flexibility without clarity. Now, flexibility in the working world is just expected now. Most organizations make the mistake of adding it without redesigning the work. Flexible work plus unclear rules just equals anxiety. I want you to think about doing a flex clarity test. Again, it's really as straightforward as asking yourself some simple questions. When do teams collaborate in my business? Where do they collaborate? Are the expectations around flexibility consistent across my business? Or do we have different rules for different teams? Are outcomes seen as much clearer than presence? Does it matter more the value people are delivering or whether or not they show up to the office? The third trend is not new news. It seems to come up year on year, and it is managers under strain. Middle management isn't failing in your business. They're just overloaded with responsibility and starved of clarity. What I see with clients I work with is that culture often fails in the middle, and it does so when the clarity is being outsourced. So, one thing you can do is conduct a manager workload audit. Some quick fire questions that will really give you some rich insight. Ask your managers, what decisions can you make? What are you accountable for but can't control? And out of these things, what is the hardest to explain? Is there a really good reason why it's done that way? The answers to these questions will help you surface some of the challenges and potential barriers that you might inadvertently be putting in your manager team's way. It will help you understand the blockers you can remove by delegating it somewhere else, or empowering your managers to delegate it, or better still, removing it from the workflow completely. Trend number 4 is everywhere. It's AI as a culture amplifier. AI is amazing, but it is not going to fix your culture. It will just amplify it. If you have a healthy culture, AI plus that equals time wealth and great performance. If you've got a weak culture, it might equal more pressure. People who are already under strain. Hopefully, if you have AI running in your business, you'll have clearly mapped out where it can add value. You'll have really leveraged the power of this tool. However, what you might not have done is carry out an AI intent filter. These again are a couple of questions just to reflect on to make sure your deployment of AI is really hitting the mark. The first is, what human problem does this solve? What pressure might it add? And finally, who benefits or absorbs the cost of this? And I don't mean financially. The answers to those questions will be very revealing in terms of your AI deployment. It might reveal introducing a new tool is actually adding another layer of complexity, something else to learn, something else to manage, something else to report back on. That might result in additional costs over and above what you're paying for AI to be deployed that you also need to measure. Trend number 5 is culture as risk management. Culture now determines how quickly we work, the quality of the decisions that we make, retention during times of change, and truth telling. Do we feel psychologically safe to speak up? If you put all of those things together, culture is an operational risk. And a lot of clients that I work with simply don't see it as that. You should be managing culture as a risk. You should be monitoring it in the same way you monitor other risks in your business. You should be mitigating it in the same way you mitigate other risks in your business or projects that you're running. Make sure you're attending to culture and doing that actively on a daily basis. Reflecting on 2025, I also wanted to just flag in the way that I normally do things that I think are not worth your attention. Don't chase trends. Pay attention to the things that are happening in your business. What is going to drive you and your people forward? Don't confuse perks with progress. Don't delegate culture. It's not HR's job. It's not a project over here. It's your job and your leadership team's job, as well as everyone in the business. Don't wait for metrics. Instinctively, you will know where you need to pay some attention. Go ahead and do that. Make that a priority for 2026. Remember, culture in 2026 won't fail loudly. It will quietly increase in risk, so you need to manage it. The leaders who'll win in 2026 won't be chasing trends, they'll be designing clarity. If any of this has resonated with you, comment the word checklist and I'll send you a tool to understand at the beginning of this year what your culture looks like and the areas that you need to focus on. I'll see you next time.